Okay, today we are looking at chapter 5, lesson 3, comparing and ordering integers. On page 363, we have 4 standards that we're looking at today. Understand ordering and absolute value of rational numbers. Interpret or explain what it means. Interpret statements of inequality. Write, interpret, and explain statements of order for rational numbers in real-world context. That's story problems. And tell the difference between absolute value and order. Okay, so that is comparing and ordering integers, chapter 5, lesson 3. All right, so let's go ahead to page 364. And let's start off by comparing integers. To compare integers, you can compare the signs as well as the magnitude or size of the numbers. So when we're looking at integers, we're looking at the signs, which is whether it's a positive or a negative, and then the magnitude, which is just that absolute value of the number. Greater numbers are graphed farther to the right. The smaller the number it is, the smaller a number is, the farther to the left it is graphed. Positive numbers are greater than negative numbers. So if you're comparing 2 and -3, the 2 will be bigger. So if you're, since -2 is farther to the right, you're comparing -2 and -3. So between those two numbers, -2 is farther to the right, so -2 is larger. Okay, so if you would read this as 2 is greater than -3, this would be read -2 is greater than -3. So let's just review our inequality signs. So okay, so this sign is the less than sign. It looks like a capital letter L. It just doesn't have that right angle. It's a little bit of, it's an acute angle. And then this sign, which has the less than sign, but half of an equal sign, is the less than or equal to sign. This sign is the greater than sign. And this sign is the greater than or equal to sign. Okay, this sign is not equal to. So we draw an equal sign with a slash through it, not equal to. All right, and it's very common for kids to forget which sign is which when it comes to greater than and less than. So I just want to teach you a strategy. Obviously, we can memorize it. Okay, but even things that we memorize, you probably memorized all of your math facts, and at some point you forgot a few of them, and you had to like relearn them again. So if you forget the inequality signs, the really nice thing is that you can always figure it out. Okay, so yes, memorizing things in math makes it much faster, but we can always go back. The beauty of math is it makes sense, so we can always go back and figure it out. So let's just say that I have the sign and I can't figure out what it is. So I can go ahead and write a math fact that I do know for sure. So if I have 1 and I'm comparing that to 2, which number is larger, 1 or 2? 2 is larger. So if you think of the alligator strategy that we teach you in elementary school, the alligator would want the 2. Okay, and we know that 1 is less than 2. We know the alligator wants the larger number. Okay, so how do we read this now that we're in middle school? We say 1 is what then 2? 1 is less than 2. So this sign is the less than sign. So even if I have these memorized and in 30 years from now, you're helping your 6th grader with their math homework, you can always fall back on this. Write down 2 numbers that you do know. The relationship between 5 and 4, okay? The alligator wants the 5, of course, instead of the 4, because the 5 is larger. So how do we read this? We say 5 is greater than 4. Okay, so even if we forget these names, we can always go back and figure them out, right? And that'll be really important because when you're in algebra class in high school, you're going to end up with things like this. X is blank then Y, and then you have to know what that means because that's going to give you important information about X and Y. Okay, so eventually the numbers will go away and you'll have to understand which one is larger, X or Y. Which one is larger? The Y is larger than the X. So we would read this, X is less than Y. All right, so let's look at compare. Now we've just kind of reviewed the names of the inequality signs. Let's compare integers. Top of page 364. To compare integers, you compare the signs as well as the magnitude or size of the numbers. Greater numbers are graphed farther to the right. Oh, we just did this, I'm sorry. 2 is greater than -3. There it is on our number line. 2 is farther to the right. Then here we have -2 and -3. -2 is farther to the right, so it's larger. So -2 is greater than -3. Let's look at example 1. Fill in the open circle with less than, greater than, or equal to make a true sentence. 12 is what than -4. So 12 is a positive number, -4 is a negative number. Any positive number is larger than any negative number. So we can safely say that 12 is greater than -4. When we graph these on the number line, we can see that 12 is to the right of -4. Example A, -3 is what than -5. Okay, so if you think of your number line, -3 is farther to the right than -5, so -3 is greater than -5. And then you can also think of this like debt. If you owe $3 or you owe $5, owing $3 means you have more money than if you owe $5. Letter B. -5 is what than 0. So -5, obviously, that's a negative number. It's farther to the left than 0, so we can say -5 is less than 0. Letter C, 6 is what than -1. So 6 is a positive number. -1 is obviously a negative number. So any positive is greater than any negative. So we can say 6 is greater than -1. All right, so then let's take a look at number 2. Justin has a score of -4 on the Trueville trivia game. Desiree's score is -5. So Justin has a score of -4. Desiree has a score of -5. Write an inequality to compare the scores. So Justin's score, he has a score of -4 or -4. Desiree has a score of -5 or -5. Justin is 4 below 0. Desiree is 5 below 0. So Justin's score is a better score, higher score than Desiree's. So -4 is greater than -5. So Justin is winning. Okay, so Justin is winning. So we're interpreting that situation. Because his score is higher than Desiree's. All right, letter D. The temperature on Tuesday was 2 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature on Wednesday was -2 degrees Fahrenheit. Write an inequality to compare the temperatures and explain the meaning of the inequality. So 2 degrees, a positive 2 degrees Fahrenheit is greater than -2 degrees Fahrenheit. And here's the explanation of the meaning. 2 degrees Fahrenheit is warmer than 2 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. Okay, so 2 degrees Fahrenheit is warmer than -2 degrees Fahrenheit, or the temperature is higher, the value is larger. So now in the first half of the lesson, we have compared two numbers at a time. Let's move over to page 365 and let's put multiple numbers in order. So ordering integers, you can use a number line to order a set of integers. Integers can be ordered from least to greatest or from greatest to least. Number 3, order the set -9, 6, -3, 0 from least to greatest. Okay, so method 1, graph the numbers on the number line and then read the numbers in order from least to greatest. Okay, so that's what strategy 1 was. Plot -9, plot the number 6, plot the number -3, plot the number 0. So those are all in the number line, and then you read them from least to greatest. -9, comma, -3, comma, 0, comma, 6. Okay, next, another strategy is just to compare them and list them without the number line. So if you look at them, so -9 and -3, those are the two negative numbers. So obviously -9 is smaller than -3, it's farther to the left of the number line. So -9 would go first, then -3. Then before we go to the positive numbers, we have 0, which is neither positive nor negative. So we list that. And then we go on to our positive numbers. In this case, we only had one positive number, it was 6. So we list those numbers. Okay, and then we put them in braces because it's a set of numbers. Let's do letter E together. Order the set -4, 3, 11, -25 from greatest to least. So greatest to least means we're starting on the right and we're working our way left, greatest to least. Okay, then if we plot these points, we have -4. So when we plot -4 on the number line, it is going to lie between 0 and -5. It's going to be a little closer to -5. So 1 away from -5. 3, plot that on the number line. So this is -4, this is 3, 11, and -25. And then they asked us to list these from greatest to least. So greatest to least, I'm going to start at 11, 3, -4, -25. And then I just put braces around that because that's a set of numbers. 11, 3, -4, -25, greatest to least. Letter F. Okay, this is least to greatest, so left to right. So -18, positive, oops, I'm sorry. I put that on the positive 18. -18, positive 30, 12, -6, and positive 3. Positive 3 would be halfway between 0 and positive 6. And this one, they asked us to go from least to greatest. So to go from least to greatest, we start at the left and we work our way right. So least to greatest. So from least to greatest, so on our number line, left to right is least to greatest. So for letter F, this will give us -18, and then -6, and 3, 12, 30. Okay, and you don't need to draw the number line. Sorry, I was off the page there. If you're able to kind of make that comparison in your head, but sometimes the number line is helpful, especially if you have a lot of points. Okay. All right, page 366, turn the page. The table shows the lowest elevation for several continents. Order the elevations from least to greatest. Okay, and they really helped us out with this. They've made the number line for us, and they plotted each of these numbers. Okay, so that let's just take a look and see where they are. Here's the negative 156. Here is the negative 418. Here's the negative 12. Here's the negative 28. There's the negative 86. There's the negative 105. So when they ask us to list these from least to greatest means working from left to right. So we go to our number line, least to greatest. This is the negative 418. So I'm going to put a check mark there, list my negative 418, comma. Next, this is negative 156. And I know that I'm looking at my table, that's where I'm getting those numbers from, okay? And then comma. And this is just to the left of negative 100. So that's got to be the negative 105. Comma. And then just to the right of 100 would be our negative 86. I forgot to check off this negative 156. Okay, and then from the negative 86, we continue to move right. Then we would have our negative 28. And this would be our negative 12. And we put those numbers in braces because it's a set of numbers and it is least to greatest. And those are the lowest elevations at each continent. Okay, so that was chapter 5, lesson 3, compare and order integers.